There are nights that I sit here in front of all of you and do these recaps, and I just don't feel like talking about anything. There are nights that I feel like I'm gushing about everything. And then there's those nights. Those very special nights that only come around once in a blue moon that it makes me proud to be an old school professional wrestling fan. Yes, that's what I said. A old school professional wrestling fan. Now, tonight, obviously, I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I'm going to talk about some botches that happened earlier on in the show as it pertains to promos. But when it comes down to it, this show, by and large, made me realize just what it's like to be a professional wrestling fan again. Sometimes you don't need to criticize things, you just need to sit back and relax and enjoy the ride. Just like I tell people when they go watch The Wolf of Wall Street. And for those of you that have seen the film, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That, in a nutshell, describes old school Raw. Now another thing, real quick, I'll apologize once more that we did not get a Versus up today. Reason why AJ was not... Well, actually, he never got a hold of me, to be totally honest. So I'm going to guess he probably slept the day away, if I had to guess. And if that means he can get better soon, given the fact that we have our first award show on Sunday and our next series of award nominations on Wednesday, that's a good thing. So, AJ, get better soon. Hopefully, everything will work out. We'll take care of tomorrow night. We can get that Versus out to you guys. And we're also going to be talking WGA, PGA, and tomorrow officially we'll bring out the DGA. So all the guilds, will be talking about those in the coming video. And for those of you that watched Pop yesterday and realized that I threw out a Halloween Horror Nights video in January, hopefully you guys and girls out there enjoyed that video just the same. And of course, excuse me, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that as of this very moment, I'll check on camera right now. You know why? Because I can. So, it is freezing outside. It is like shoot freezing outside. This moment right now, you can't really see that very well. It is 2 degrees! Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even see that dash next to it. It's negative 2 degrees! Brilliance! And tomorrow we got a high. Tomorrow we're going to get all the way up to 12. Yeah, 12 degrees. And Wednesday we got a heat wave. We're going to 34, and then we get a 41, and then 46, and gasp. By Saturday we've got 50 degrees. How awesome is that? This weather is not Suro and Disney's best friend, that's for sure. Mom left earlier today, obviously. She's headed to Louisville and her next 7 weeks on the road. 3 weeks, and then she'll be home for those weekends, and that's going to be when she's in Cincinnati, so that'll be pretty cool. Now, I also want to throw this out to you guys that we have some awesome awards content, obviously, coming in the coming weeks. We've got the second of the big prediction videos coming this Thursday, which is the Critics' Choice Awards. So we're going to be talking about that. The Golden Globes video is already down, the Critics' Choice Awards, and the sheer cluster that was the Screen Actors Guild Award nominations, yeah, that's going to be covered the week after. And the BAFTA's the week after that. So, a lot of awards content. And I thought I'd just tell you guys that real quickly before we start this video here, before we start talking about Old School Raw. It is really cold outside, and if you are anything close to that or worse than that, I feel very sorry for you, because I feel sorry for myself given the fact that it's so cold outside. So, excuse me. 40 degrees is going to feel like a heat wave. 50 degrees, that's going to be phenomenal. It's going to be like from the negatives to 50 degrees in just a few days. Hence why the sinuses are bothering me. Now, let's talk Old School Raw, shall we? So, we're going to start off the show. The internet basically said that the show was going to start off with the Wyatt family. Daniel Bryan, of course, explaining what he did last week. But it didn't. It actually started off with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. He came out to start the show, and the first promo botch of the night was on commentary by Michael Cole. We actually did a couple tonight. And he calls Ric Flair a 6-time champion before completely like stopping in mid-sentence and saying, 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. Okay. So, Flair goes into his promo and basically says Old School is having some fun here in Baltimore. And he basically starts a promo when all of a sudden Flair starts wooing, and like he likes to do. And when Flair woos, for some reason the camera pans over the entranceway. Obviously, the wrong cue, because the next thing you know, Randy Orton comes out. So Randy Orton comes out, shakes Ric Flair's hand. Obviously, they have the background from Evolution. So Orton basically says he respects Ric Flair and the fact that Flair took him under his wing. It's basically a botch. That's exactly what I said there. Tonight is not about the old school legends. Tonight is about me. I am the greatest of this generation or any other generation. It's now my time, my show, and my ring. So Rick, step aside. I have something to get off my chest. Obviously, he's going to talk about John Cena and the match at the Royal Rumble in 3 weeks. So he basically says, I already beat John Cena at TLC, so what's the use in having a rematch? I have nothing else left to prove. So he basically asks what's best for business to reverse the decision and say, just take that title shot away from John Cena. Well, basically, Orton says the wrong thing, and he says the wrong buzzword and says, I have proven why I'm the man. You don't say I'm the man around Ric Flair, and Flair let him know it. He basically says, night in, night out, when Ric Flair was World Heavyweight Champion, he performed against the top upper echelon talent every single night. The best in the business for 3 decades. That's why he has 2 Hall of Fame rings. Now, Flair congratulates Orton on beating John Cena, but all he does is whine about this potential rematch and not be a man and step in the ring with Cena yet again to prove that if he can beat him once, he can beat him again, obviously. Orton says no one's been watching my back. Hence the Evolution reference I brought up earlier. Not currently watching his back, and calls Ric Flair the most overrated superstar in professional wrestling history. Interesting. So he asks Flair to leave again, and Flair basically says, I'm not leaving until you listen to what I have to say. So he says, 10 years ago, Hunter and I, we found you and we made you the gold standard. We handpicked you. You had everything going for you. But you had one thing and one thing that set you back each and every time, and that was your immaturity. The fact that, obviously he still is, and he says you had a punk attitude that you never really grew out of. So Orton drops the mic and wants to fight. John Cena comes out, shakes Flair's hand, and basically says, you don't take everything out on me. No, you take everything out on the Authority. No, you don't do that either. You take everything out on Ric Flair. And you don't even have the gall to take it out on Ric Flair, to call him overrated. As a matter of fact, you pretty much don't even belong in the same ring with Ric Flair. So Cena makes the challenge, says if old school means you want to fight, then it's going to be on tonight. So he basically says he wants to fight. Randy Orton powders, and that's the end of the first segment. So using Ric Flair, I had no problem with that. Flair and Orton, that works really well, given the fact that obviously they have history. And you have to build towards the Royal Rumble. And this was the only segment, excuse me, and the opening segment on a 3 hour 15 minute Raw that featured John Cena or Randy Orton. That is a good thing. That is progress. So, apparently, earlier on in the day, Jerry the King Lawler, the internet exploded when everybody thought he had a heart attack, or he had heart problems, or he started vomiting and he was rushed to the hospital and we didn't know what was going on with him. Well, shortly before Raw started, Jerry Lawler basically said he was quote-unquote fine, and he pretty much said via the WWE app that he had a stomach virus, and the stomach virus basically was caused by eating bad seafood. That's what the internet exploded about. Obviously, now, even if that is the truth, and I truly believe it wasn't, they're not going to say that out on television. They're probably going to try to pull the curtain back and completely try to gloss over the fact that Jerry the King Lawler may or may not have had more heart trouble. Hence why he did not even do commentary tonight on Raw. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the old school touches. The old school WWE opening. It was very reminiscent of the old WWF opening. And the WWF style ring with the red, white, and blue ring ropes and the blue ring aprons. And the turnbuckle pads with the logos on them. And the old Monday Night Raw logo. Not the old Monday Night Raw logo, but like the second generation Raw logo. The one with the RAW, the one that Sabu leaped off of. Remember that? So, yeah, and of course you have Michael Cole and JBL are wearing old school, really flashy yellow and red sports jackets. And they don't have a broadcast booth. They have a literal press table with all the cords in the world underneath them. So, we don't have the barricades. We have the steel barricades. We don't have like the big black barricades like we usually have. We have the steel barricades. So, it works pretty well with that. And we got to our first match, and it is a 6-man tag team match with Jimmy and Jey Uso. Thank you, Michael Cole, for identifying them really quickly in this match. Taking on the Wyatt family, this being the official television debut of Daniel Bryan and the Wyatt family. Because, of course, the internet exploded last week when Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family, and once again, I told you so first. So, this is the first match of the evening to start you off with a bang, and Bryan comes out, he's wearing a jumpsuit. Now, there's a couple things that come to mind. I've seen everything on the internet, too. Like, he's wearing a blue jumpsuit, and the only thing missing from him is a Bill Shatner mask and a machete. Oh, not machete, but a big giant knife. And slow dooming score. And you know what I'm talking about when I say that. I know it's only January, but sure as hell felt like Halloween to me. Or maybe he needs a mop because he looks kind of like a janitor. Or I'll throw out a shout out on Twitter that when it comes down to it, he had a little Duke the Dumpster Drosy action going on. So, all of these are correct. And Bryan comes out, he's in a trance, is what it looks like. He's walking to the ring methodically, and we go midway through the match like we do here on Pop, and Eric Rowan has this new spot he's been using a lot lately, and it's a reminiscent of the old cranium crush that Bryan Adams used to use when he was Crush. You know where he takes his hands like this and he squeezes your head? Well, Eric Rowan's got his own spin on it, and what he does is he takes his fists and he grinds them into your head. Great visual aid, right, Owen? And this is on Jey Uso. I find this out momentarily. He comes off the ropes, he gets caught. Jey Uso is going nowhere, and Rowan hits the fallaway slam. Tagging to Daniel Bryan, he comes in, and he immediately ties him up in the ropes, and he front drop kicks Jey to the apron, drags him back in, tagging to Rowan. Rowan comes in, steps on the throat, headbutt and a whip in, charges in, and Jey gets the boot up. So he catches him, he lands on his feet, savate kick on Eric Rowan, tagging to Jimmy Uso. Sorry, I thought he was going to tag Jimmy Uso, but he tagged Rey Mysterio instead. So Mysterio comes in, and of course he gets the seated senton, ducks the clothesline, satellite head scissors takeover on Eric Rowan, tosses him to the ropes, does Rowan, double goozle, throws him up in the air, and Hurricane Rana by Rey Mysterio Jr., and tagging to Jimmy Uso, he comes in, 619, Jimmy goes for the Samoan splash, nobody home, Daniel Bryan tagged in, he looks like he's going for the fire-breathing knee, Luke Harper just stops that immediately and tags himself in. There's a little bit of dissension in the ranks, so Harper forearms Rey Mysterio off the ring apron, and he basically goes for an Ocean Cyclone, and it gets countered in a forward roll. He sits back on it, hooks the legs, 1, 2, 3, and the Usos and Rey Mysterio win this opening 6-man. And the first immediate thought to my mind was Bryan is trying to destroy the Wyatt family from within. Obviously, that's where they could go with this. Or maybe it's just miscommunication that's going to come back later on. Given the fact that later on in the show, it is mentioned that Daniel Bryan just wants to be elite, doesn't want to necessarily just be a follower, he wants to teach. He's a former tag team champion, he knows exactly what he's doing in there, and he wants to teach Rowan and Harper how to be successful and be champions. Well, they pretty much take offense to this, and he says, okay, fine, I want to prove myself, I want to prove I want to be part of this family, so I want to team with you, Harper, I want to team with you, Rowan, and Bray Wyatt puts the kibosh on it right away and turns around and says, no, Bryan, next week you're going to team with me. So next week we get the Usos taking on Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan. That's going to be an entertaining match. So we find out something that has been one of the worst kept secrets in the world, that Batista is now the first official entrant in the 2014 Royal Rumble. The person that everyone thinks is going to win is now officially in the Rumble. Okay, good. So now that's out of the way, Kane pretty much threatens Brad Maddox and says that if Maddox gets him fired, no one will ever see him again. If Maddox is the reason he gets fired, still no one will ever see him again. So Big E Langston is headed to the ring, and he runs into Nikolai Volkov singing the anthem, of course, and then he runs into Ted DiBiase, who is schmoozing up Oksana, and then IRS, which, once again, it's totally beyond me, and I understand why they didn't do it with the way the gimmick fits, but something tells me that Bray Wyatt's not paying his taxes. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about there. At least I hope you do. If you're watching this video, you probably do. So we get our next match, another non-title match. Big E Langston, your current reigning and defending Intercontinental Champion, taking on Curtis Axel, and he's got his Nexus Relocation Program tag team partner Ryback on commentary. God, don't let Ryback do commentary anymore. It was abysmal. So Axel with a chin lock midway through the match. Big E Langston escapes out of it. The big diving shoulder into the corner, and Axel ends up the standing drop kick out of nowhere. He charges in with a knee, sends Big E Langston to the floor, tosses him back in, Ryback with a quick distraction, and Axel rolls him up 1-2 and a kick out. Ducks Axel's clothesline, comes off the ropes, and explodes with a huge clothesline, and picks him up. Big ending, 1-2-3. Second time in a row that Big E Langston has dispatched Curtis Axel, so it makes me think that we're leading to Big E and Ryback could be the next feud. I don't know if that's going to be the match of the Rumble or if they blow it off on Raw or SmackDown, but I think that that's going to be the direction you're going. So the next segment is something two things I've been waiting a long time for. We talk about Dean Ambrose, and we talk about Dean Ambrose being a master on the microphone. They've compared him to Pillman. I compared him to Pillman. They compared him to Piper. They compared him to Jake the Snake Roberts. Almost all of these were talked about tonight, but we'll talk about that in a minute. I don't want to blow the spot. So we get our Piper's Pit segment, our annual Piper's Pit segment, and this time it's with the Shield. And what does Piper want to do? He wants to stir. He wants to stir the pot about the eventual cracks now forming between this elite group. He basically says it's Piper's Pit, not Ambrose Alley, which everyone on the internet immediately said WWE just trademarked it. The only man that can match me on the mic is CM Punk. So Seth Rollins holds Ambrose back and says the Shield is too smart for any of your tactics. Piper, you're just jealous because Dean Ambrose is twice the United States champion that you've ever been. So, Rollins and Ambrose, basically one-on-one, cannot beat CM Punk. Piper lets that be known. If you beat Punk, doesn't that make you better than them? As in, that's him talking to Roman Reigns about Ambrose and Rollins. Is there cracks in the Shield? Apparently not, because Roman Reigns says he'll beat Punk tonight, and he says to Roddy Piper, rather matter-of-factly, if you touch me again, I'll break your old ass in half. So they corner Piper, about to take him down. Who makes the save? Obviously, Calder personality hits. CM Punk runs out with the New Age Outlaws. And the Outlaws and CM Punk clear the ring. And if you would have told me that that was going to be what they were going to do with the Outlaws tonight, I probably would have said that it made sense, but I didn't know if they'd go with it. I actually thought the Outlaws would be with three-man band, but if I thought about it more, I should have realized the segment with three-man band was the right segment to do. So, another feud that just won't end for some reason is the feud between Sin Cara with Unico under the mask, and Alberto Del Rio. And every single time Sin Cara, 2 times, has had Del Rio's number. This match is hopefully where Del Rio turns it around, at least for his own sake. So Del Rio with a chin lock, and Sin Cara elbows out of it, charges in, catches the back elbow, goes for a tornado DDT. Del Rio tosses him off, ducks the clothesline, satellite head scissors takeover by Sin Cara, whip in, reverse, and handspring back elbow, 1 count only. Del Rio kicks out. So a high kick on the apron. He goes up top for the Senton bomb, and Del Rio out of the way, and when Sin Cara reaches his knees, bang, GSK knocks him right out. 1, 2, 3, Alberto Del Rio wins. After the match is over, Del Rio makes it known that he wants to be included into the Royal Rumble. Obviously, Del Rio is a winner of the 40-man Royal Rumble that was held in 2011. But the thing he does is he talks about picking a fight with Batista, who, of course, won the Rumble back in 2005. 2 great years for me. Anyway, basically, Del Rio signs his death warrant and says he will toss Batista, and then he will once again become the winner of the Royal Rumble, and thus getting another shot at the World Heavyweight Championship. So, we've set up a program with Batista and Alberto Del Rio. Okay, it's a good short-term program. I don't know how Del Rio's going to win any of the matches, but it could work. Who knows? We'll see. So, we get another match, another non-title match, because it's old school, so old school means non-title matches, apparently. Sure, whatevs. And it is between the Real Americans and the current reigning and defending WWE Tag Team Champions, Goldust and Cody Rhodes, the Brotherhood. This match was actually pretty good, too. Once again, if you want to talk about MVP or Comeback of the Year for 2013, Dustin Runnels is head and shoulders above each and every person that could even be 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all the way down the line. I'm telling you, the rejuvenation of the Goldust character in 2013 has just been huge for the WWE and has brought up a lot of amazing tag matches, a lot of amazing 6-man tag team matches, and actually a lot of amazing singles matches. And when they eliminate each other at the Royal Rumble this year and it leads to their eventual feud at WrestleMania, I think that it's going to be a good thing. I don't know how they're going to buy Goldust as a heel, though. Obviously, Goldust started out as a heel, we get that, but now the fans are going to have to cheer Goldust and boo Cody Rhodes. That's the only thing I can think of to do. Cody could be dastardly, we could do it that way if you really want to, because the fans really want to cheer Goldust, and I think if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it's not broke. I think Goldust is the over one in this storyline, and I think that he's the one that needs to be the babyface going in. I think Cody is the one who tosses Goldust over the top at the Rumble after the Wyatts defeat them at the main card before the actual Royal Rumble match. Because if you don't think that the Wyatt family are going into WrestleMania with the WWE Tag Team Championships, you haven't thought this out enough, just like I have. So this match was good. This match was really good. Let's talk about it, shall we? So Cody gets tagged in, of course, and he hits the springboard missile drop kick on Antonio Cesaro, and Cesaro whips him in. It's reversed. Cody turns it into the tip-up into the sunset flip, 1-2, and a kick-out. Beautiful disaster on Jack Swagger, knocks him off the ring apron, and Cody gets nailed in the back of the neck with a Swiss uppercut. So we come back to live action for commercial break, and Swagger's got a reverse bear hug on Cody. So big slam and tags in Swagger, Swagger bomb, and leapfrog, double stomp. Excuse me. Slam and tagged in Cesaro, of course. He leapfrogs over Cesaro. Wow, long day. Let's go back to this. Rewind. That's what happens when you don't edit, folks. So the big slam, tag in, and Swagger Bomb. Cesaro leapfrog, double stomp over Jack Swagger, and 1-2, and of course a kick out from Cody. Tag officially back into Swagger. He comes in, front face lock, tag into Cesaro. Cesaro comes in. They double whip and double down and double kick to the chest. And Cesaro gets backdropped over the top rope to the floor. Cesaro, with a big boot, knocks Goldust off the ring apron so he cannot interfere. Back body drop by Cody on Cesaro, but he goes to make the tag. Nobody's home because obviously he just got knocked off the apron by Cesaro. So Swiss uppercut to the back of the head. 1-2, Cody kicks out, whip in, charges in, and he goes head first in the middle turnbuckle. Tagging a Swagger because Cesaro got his brains bashed in momentarily. He goes for a backdrop suplex, floats over, lands on his feet, goes for the beautiful disaster, gets countered, and somehow Jack Swagger locks in the Patriot Lock. Cody tries to get to the ropes. Swagger drags in the middle of the ropes. He's got nowhere to go. Goldust comes in with a boot to the face and breaks the hold. Tag in, ducks the clothesline, does Goldust. 2 big clotheslines, drop down uppercut, spine buster, and he tosses Cesaro in. 180 flying body press on the Real Americans, and Cesaro gets clotheslined over the top to the floor. Goldust catches Swagger with the Samoa Joe style snap power slam, and 1-2, Cesaro makes the save. Swagger goes for a roll up and a boot in the midsection, and that is all she wrote. Goldust hits the final cut, 1-2-3. And I think they missed a golden opportunity in this match for Dusty to accompany the Brotherhood and give the bionic elbow to Uncle Zeb on the floor. Missed opportunity, folks. We get Diamond Dallas Page doing a shameless promotion for DDP Yoga. Booker T shows up, and they basically just talk for a minute. They reminisce. Feels a little bit like Nitro. Except neither one of them are world champion at this point. So, of course, Booker tries to do some yoga. And this allows for your obligatory Ron Simmons cameo. He comes in, he shouts damn, and that's the end of it. This man is the first black world heavyweight champion, and he is treated like this. History, folks. Remember this. 1992, Ron Simmons beat Big Van Vader for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. That was before, in 1991, when he was challenging Lex Luger for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Yeah, Ron Simmons is a former world champion. Now, you probably don't remember him as such. He was Farouk of the Nation of Domination, former Intercontinental Champion, and now he just says, damn. The Acolytes were one of the best brawling tag teams in the Attitude Era. Ron Simmons just says, damn. JBL on commentary, his partner in said Acolytes, still, Ron Simmons just says, damn. Damn indeed. So because they wanted to make me feel pain, and everyone else, they wanted to do a rematch from last week's horrible Damien Sandow and Great Khali match. Because, rightfully so, Khali's shoulders were not on the canvas. So they decide, in their wisdom, to come up with a special guest referee. So they give us 3 choices. Bob Backlund, who seems to be the go-to here, Sergeant Slaughter, and Arn Anderson. Now, obviously, I voted for Arn Anderson, because any smart person would. But, for some reason, just like what will probably happen at the Oscars, the vote was split and Slaughter won. So Slaughter comes out, and he's going to be the referee for this match. And you know, with Slaughter without wearing the gimmicks and without wearing the hat, he looks like a referee anyway, so it fits pretty well. So, the only thing I liked about this segment, Dave Kapoor, Ranjit Singh, accompanies Khali to the ring. Because it's old school, of course, so we have to bring that back. Well, you know how Khali matches work. Sandow charges in, Khali puts up the elbow. Sandow charges in, Khali puts up the big boot. He runs into 2 clotheslines, brain chop. That's it. That's used to be his finisher, right? Punjabi plunge, what he's using now, a choke bomb. But no. Or hanging tree slam in this case. No. He used the brain chop. Sandow's foot is clearly on the bottom rope the whole time. 1, 2, 3. again, we still are going to have another match between Damien Sandow and Great Khali. Probably just as soon as next week on Raw. So, of course, Sandow has to argue with Sergeant Slaughter, and he gets put in the Cobra Clutch for his troubles. And, of course, that pops the crowd, because it's an old-school crowd. Now, we got our next segment. And this segment involves Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman. It rather started out interesting. Basically, Heyman gives us a definition of what Brock thinks is old school. Old school doesn't mean bringing out legends, per se. It means one man, reigning supreme, everybody challenging him to be the man. Whether it was Bruno Sammartino, or Hulk Hogan, or Stone Cold Steve Austin, all of them at one point in their careers were the man and reigned supreme. Today that one man is the WWE World Heavyweight Champion, and whether it's going to be John Cena or Randy Orton after the Royal Rumble, they have a date with Brock Lesnar. So, Brock is about 4 things. Eat, sleep, conquer, repeat. And Heyman says it over and over again. Here comes Mark Henry. And Mark Henry, of course, was decimated by Brock Lesnar during an attack last week on Raw. Mark Henry comes out, gets the upper hand momentarily. Lesnar locks on the Kimura and snaps Mark Henry's arm. So Henry leaves. Actually, he's kind of carted away. Big Show, well, long day. Brock Lesnar comes out and he's interrupted by the Big Show. So, of course, we're setting up the Big Show Brock Lesnar match of the Royal Rumble that everyone's been predicting anyway. So Lesnar sees a second that Big Show's distracted. He comes in and Big Show launches him across the ring. Literally from turnbuckle to turnbuckle and all the way out to the floor. So we're getting Big Show and Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. What year is this? So our next match is Nikki and Brie Bella, the Bella Twins, taking on quite possibly the worst Divas tag team I could think of to put together on the current roster that doesn't involve anyone from Total Divas. That's saying, oh, Eva Marie's not a good worker. That would be Alicia Fox and Oksana. Now, once again, I don't know what WWE sees in Oksana because I don't see it. She has nice looks. I'll go with that. Alicia Fox has nice looks. I'll go with that. They're both dangerous to be in the ring with. Alicia Fox has proven this. Oksana she's... Okay. I think I would liken Oksana to me as a worker like the internet thought of Vladimir Kozlov. If that's a weird comparison, it's probably the only one I could come up with at this point. So, honestly, during this match, I realized I lost my keys. Yep. Not like Garth, who fell on them. I actually lost my keys. I actually left them in my mom's truck, and she is now in Louisville, Kentucky currently. So, I'm going to have to deal with this for the next 3 weeks. But luckily, jingle, jangle, jingle, it'll make noise, so I probably won't lose it. And I won't lose it at all because it's my last house key I have. Now, so I didn't really pay much attention to this match. It was okay for what I saw in the corner of my eye. Brie goes for the running knee on Oksana once. She hits it. The second time she goes for it, she gets kicked in the knee, and she eventually gets the upper hand. She goes for the Brie mode missile drop kick off the middle rope. And she misses. Oksana makes the cover 1, 2, 3. And once again, the Oksana experiment continues. Still don't know why. No AJ Lee on the show either. Interesting. Very, very interesting. So, of course, we get 3-man band, and they're back together as a cohesive unit because Heath Slater has returned to television. And I'm happy to see him back, actually. So that means that obviously he's got everything worked out in his personal life. So he's back on television. And that's a good thing. That's always a good thing. And of course, I should have realized who they're facing off with. 6-man tag team action against Rikishi, Grandmaster Sexay, and Scotty 2 Hotty, aka Too Cool. Scotty hasn't lost a step in the ring. Grandmaster Sexay looks more like his dad each and every day. And Rikishi really didn't do much. Didn't even do the stink face in this match. Obviously, he was wearing like 14 layers of gear. So, including an Uso shirt, obviously paying tribute to his boys. So we go midway through the match. Scotty gets the worm chop on Drew. And it pops the entire crowd. It looked awesome, too. And, of course, when he gets up, he gets mowed over by a big boot by Drew McIntyre. Everyone just took him out of his boots. Tagging to Jinder Mahal, he comes in, makes a cover 1 count only. Tag back into Drew McIntyre. High vertical suplex 1-2 and a kick out. So Drew knocks Grandmaster Sexy off the ring apron and gets caught with a reverse neck breaker by Scotty 2 Hottie. Tagging to Jinder Mahal and hot tagging to Rikishi. Rikishi comes in, ends up tossing Drew over the top. Super kick on Jinder Mahal, and McIntyre makes a save. Double clothesline, Drew and Jinder does Rikishi, and Grandmaster Sexay puts on the goggles, hits the hip-hop drop, the guillotine leg drop off the top on Jinder Mahal, and this allows for a duck under of a clothesline and a sunset flip attempt by Jinder Mahal. Of course, you don't sunset flip Rikishi, and he gets sat on for his troubles. 1, 2, 3, and of course, after the match is over, 2 cool dances in the center of the ring like it's 2000 all over again. I didn't have a problem with this at all. I really didn't, honestly. It was pretty cool. It was nice seeing it, actually. So, 2 segments left to go. So we bring out the Godfather and Ric Flair, Ron Simmons, Booker T, Diamond Dallas Page, 2 cool Money Incorporated, Bob Backlund, Sergeant Slaughter, Arn Anderson, Nikolai Volkov, and Roddy Piper. Of course, they're getting their final pop of the night. And of course, we hear the very familiar music that he probably doesn't like he ever does. And Wade Barrett ascends over everyone with his podium and his gavel, which he loves so much. I'm not going to say it word for word, but I think it was hilarious. He basically said that the bad news for this week is the fact that flea markets everywhere were driven into a frenzy when they were unable to have in attendance these legends, because that means that they weren't able to sell autographs and sign pictures for the 7 people that show up that see them that even remember them. Basically saying that the legends will soon be into obscurity. Wade Barrett promises that they will be forgotten just as quickly as the universe forgot them. He also dropped the word futile. Instead of saying futile, he said fruitile. I like that. That word works, and that works fine for me. So, I like Wade Barrett a lot. I'm still not sure about this gimmick. It was a nice rub for Barrett to come out during this, honestly, so who knows where we go with this. It's old school Raw. Anything's possible. Mean Gene Okerlund comes out, and he hits one of the lines of the night. Talks about his old school hotline. Only thing not mentioned, 1-900-909-9900, the number. And it wasn't $5.99 the first minute. It was, I know it was $1.99 each additional minute. And it said, kids, get your parents' permission. In this case, of course, Mean Gene says, kids, don't worry about getting your parents' permission. Just call. And I thought that was a fun name drop. The only thing not mentioned was Mean Gene's Burgers, which of course is Mean Gene Okerlund's ill-fated a burger franchise that for some reason went to a lot of college campuses many, many years ago. He brings up the New Age Outlaws, and the Road Dogg announces CM Punk. Interesting. Billy blows himself up by saying, suck it. And it's funny because Punk gets in the ring, and the first thing he does, before I even get into what he's wearing, he gets in the ring, looks at Billy Gunn, he's like, breathe. That made me laugh. Punk is wearing a Ribera Steakhouse jacket, which was really awesome. Really a nod to Punk being a wrestler, not a sports entertainer. Because do your homework if you don't know what the Ribera Steakhouse is. Only wrestlers have those jackets. It's a proven fact. And I'm sure Punk has the Zubaz to go with it as well. Actually, I know he does. I believe I've seen the picture if I remember correctly. So, I will say right now that this main event, nothing to do with Cena, nothing to do with Orton, not even anything to do with Daniel Bryan. This match was John Cena gone, Randy Orton gone. They were gone in the first segment. This show is ended by CM Punk and Roman Reigns. They're really trying to hitch the rocket to Roman Reigns at this point. And I don't have a problem with that, because if he delivers like he did tonight, then I'm all for it at this point. I wasn't sure about this because I'm a big Ambrose supporter, and I like Seth Rollins. I thought that Roman Reigns is going to be the one that I wouldn't like as much, and originally going in that would be the case. But when it all comes down to it, Roman Reigns is going to be the one they're going to push regardless because he's the big one. He's the guy that fits the WWE mold, the big man that Vince likes. So he's going to be the one that gets pushed. So they throw him into this match. It's probably his biggest match to date, singles-wise. Roman Reigns and CM Punk, and this match was really good. Very enjoyable contest between these two. So Punk is getting attacked on the ring apron. He grabs the neck of Roman Reigns and snaps him across the top rope. Reigns ends up taking him and throwing him chest first into the support cables for the turnbuckles. And that sends Punk to the floor. So he gets back in at 6. Punk grabs the bottom rope when he tries to make a cover. He goes for another cover. Punk again kicks out, this time at 1. So a reverse bear hug is applied by Roman Reigns. Punk tries to elbow out of it, and he locks it on, makes it tighter, and he elbows out of it again. Punk ends up getting caught with a belly-to-belly suplex, 1-2, and a kick out. He nails the leaping elbow. Punk again kicks out. So he steps on Punk's throat. Goes for an elbow. This time, Punk's out of the way. So he charges in. He goes for the boot. And he gets caught. And Punk counters with a jawbreaker in the corner. Springboard up to the 180 flying body press. 1 count only. Roman Reigns again kicks out. So he goes for the running knee. And he gets caught with a very, very, very tight bear hug. And he turns it into a side bear hug. And eventually it's in a reverse bear hug. So he's using all 3 variations of the bear hug in the different points in the spot. So he elbows his way out. Comes off the ropes. Punk caught with a Samoan drop. Out of nowhere, 1-2. Punk kicks out. So he goes for the Superman punch. And Punk rolls out of the way. High kick. Drops Roman Reigns like a bad habit. Spinning back kick. And he kicks him right in the face. Ducks the clothesline. High leg lariat. And he catches him with a spinning neck breaker, 1 count only. He goes for the running knee in the corner, 1-2, and Roman Reigns again kicks out. So he goes for the running knee again, and then a short arm into an elbow smash, 1-2, and a kick out goes up top. He gets stopped. Roman Reigns comes up and goes for a superplex. He gets blocked. Punk with 5 straight elbows and a headbutt knocks him off the top. Goes for the savage elbow. And he connects to the chest of Roman Reigns, not Dean Ambrose, which is what Michael Cole said. Ambrose jumps up with a ring apron, and the Road Dogg pulls him off. Road Dogg gets sent to the steps, and this allows for Rollins to come in, and Billy Gunn, and they all get involved. Punk sees this, stops it dead in its tracks with a tope, sending Rollins into the old school announce table. Punk goes for the springboard clothesline, and he gets knocked senseless with a Superman punch. 1, 2, and at 3, Roman Reigns gets kicked out on. So the spot set up. I know this is where we're going with this, and it's exactly what happened too. Reigns goes for the spear. He has his Banshee yell. He charges in. Punk leapfrogs him. He goes shoulder first into the ring post. This allows for Punk to roll him up. 1, 2, and Roman Reigns again kicks out. So he nails Reigns with a high kick. 1, 2, and a kick out. So he goes for the go to sleep. Reigns elbows his way out of it. Punk hits the running knee, and Ambrose gets up on the ring apron. Punk knocks him off, and this allows for Roman Reigns to barrel into Punk with a devastating spear, which cuts him in half. 1, 2, 3, and cleanly beats CM Punk. Granted, there's interference, so not cleanly, but pins CM Punk in the center of the ring. So the Shield are celebrating, and they're celebrating, and Roman Reigns has the brilliant idea that they're going to triple powerbomb CM Punk, leave him laying. Very familiar music hits. Who comes out? Jake the Snake Roberts, looking in amazing condition. Well, considering what he used to look like, yeah, he's in really great shape for Jake. He's in really great shape, period, with a bag, obviously. So what does he do? He slides the bag in the ring, And the New Age Outlaws and Punk battle with the Shield. And it all boils down to CM Punk getting to go to sleep on Dean Ambrose after a numerous rotation airplane spin. Jake unties the bag, drops the contents on Ambrose. And Ambrose has got the biggest grin on his face as this yellow and white snake is dropped on the chest of Dean Ambrose. And you gotta think, Ambrose got to go toe-to-toe on the mic with Roddy Piper tonight. And he got to get a snake dropped on him by Jake the Snake Roberts. Two people that obviously his promo styles tell you he has idolized over the years. This was a nice night if you're Dean Ambrose. You just happened to get laid out by CM Punk before it happened, but still a nice night nonetheless. So, the question remains, is Jake the Snake Roberts going to be in the 2014 Royal Rumble like he wanted to? Or was this the compromise? Anything's possible, really. Jake showed that he could potentially still be in the Rumble. No DDT tonight, even though the fans were chanting for it. But it was really nice to see him, and I'm not a big Jake the Snake guy for, actually, I'll be honest, for personal reasons. But that was a long, long time ago. I do have a Jake the Snake Roberts story, but I'm not telling it on the internet, so if you want to know the story, then you can do what? 4 simple ways. The first way, if you want to get a hold of me, you want to show your love for this channel, show your love for Pop, you can like our Facebook fan page at Sir Owen Disney Pop. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I can tell you in 100-ish characters. It is Sir Owen Disney, well, long day, at Sir Owen Disney, so there it is. You can friend me on Facebook and tell you that way. It's Owen Disney, or finally, you can send your thoughts, comments, queries, and opinions, or your requests for that story to SirOwenDisney@gmail.com. That being out of the way, it was an enjoyable edition of Raw. A couple things I would have done without. I don't like the Sandow and Great Khali stuff. I don't like it at all. I think it's horrible. I think it's a bad use of Sandow. I think Khali needed to be off my television yesterday. I like what they're doing with they're setting up seeds between Batista and Alberto Del Rio, which is a very strange one to use. And you have the Real Americans and the Brotherhood had a really great match. You had an opening match with the Wyatt family with Daniel Bryan losing to Rey Mysterio Jr. and the Usos. Continuing that. I like how most of the legends were used tonight. Most of them. I didn't really like all of them. But, I mean, they could have done a little bit more with some of them, too. I don't know why they didn't. Biggie Langston beats Curtis Axel, but I'm pretty sure this is leading to him and Ryback somewhere down the line. And Cena and Orton was the opening segment. That was it. It was done. Too Cool against 3-man band. I didn't have a problem with that. The Bellas lose. Don't know where that was. AJ's nowhere to be found. And it was just an interesting edition of Raw, so yeah. Enjoyable. I mean, there was a couple things on this show that really made me happy to be an old school wrestling fan, to be able to appreciate what I was seeing right before my very eyes. So, that being said, wrestling fans, I will join you yet again later this week for NXT and SmackDown coming up in the weekend. Got a lot of movie content coming out. We got a brand new Versus coming out. We have 2 brand new Versus coming out this week. We've also got the video of the Critics' Choice Award predictions. That's going to be coming up on Thursday. The BAFTA nominations come out on Wednesday, and we're going to talk about the guilds, the Producers Guild, the Writers Guild, and the Directors Guild will all be a video that's going to be coming out the next couple of days as well. AJ's movie reviews this week, we're going to be talking about the new Legend of Hercules and the Paranormal Activity, The Marked Ones. This is not going to be a fun movie week for Sir and Disney, but did find out some really awesome information that regardless if we get it or not, her, Nebraska, and Inside Llewyn Davis all coming to Athena Grand or Cinema this coming weekend. So that's a big thing to be happy about. In the meantime, thank you guys and girls up there for watching. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I got to say about that.